Okay, hey, welcome to the shop. We're working on a boat.
It's a channel where we share tips and tricks to help you working on your boat and to have a great time while you do it. The jokes are campy, the production value is cheap, but the information is priceless. So stay tuned. My name's Eric with New Point Marine. Grab your tool bag. Let's work on a boat.
All right, hey, welcome to the shop. We are working on a boat. Today's project is we are going to be replacing the end of our 50 amp 240 volt shore cord. This is a cord that we use for testing for ground fault surveys, and something happened to the end of this cord, so it's gotten a little out of round, kind of hard to plug in, and so we're going to go ahead and change it out. The question is, though, what happened to the shore cord? How does the shore cord get damaged just sitting on the workbench? Okay, but however it happened, it happened. So we're going to just go ahead and change this end, and thought we'd share it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll get set up and come back, gather the things we need. Let's change this shore cord in. Okay, so we gathered the things we're going to need to do this. First thing we're going to need is a new cord end. And if you're going to be using this out in the elements where it can get wet, you're going to want a little protective rubber boot to go over that end. Today we're not going to use the rubber boot because this is a cord we only use for testing, so we don't need to protect the receptacle that well. The other thing, screwdriver, because you're going to need something to undo the screws in there, and we need a way to remove the unwanted end from our cord. If you got a set of these laying around, that's great. You can go ahead and just cut it in one swipe, but let's assume that not everybody carries around a big pair of wire cutters, so we're going to do that with a set of these, and we'll show you how we do that. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get this cord end off here. Let's assume that you probably don't have a set of these laying around, so let's go ahead and take this cord apart with a set of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to skin the outer sheath away so that we can get to the conductors inside, and then we can use our small wire cutters here and cut each conductor individually. So we'll do that now. So I'm just taking a very light cut and cutting back the sheath. And I don't want to get into the conductors. Even though we're replacing this end, I really don't want to get into the conductors. So we're just doing a series of very light cuts all the way around until we expose the conductors inside. There we go. You can see that? So we're just beginning to get through. Very light cuts. And if you bend the cord like so, put a little tension on the outer sheath, it really helps. And then just a few light cuts and we're through. There we go. How about that? So now we've got through. So take our knife again, and we're just going to make a cut. A series of very light cuts until we get through. So now, just make it. Get that out of the way. Now we can get it. Now we can get the conductors individually use our smaller wire cutters and get this thing off. One. There's two. Three. And my favorite, the AC safety grab. All right, there we go. We got the end off. Now, if you're doing this for real, you would, like I said, you probably want to use the rubber boot. So we've got this rubber boot here. Why not reuse it? And yeah, these things, after they've been on there for a few years, they can get really stubborn. But I'll show you how to get this boot off of this receptacle so you can reuse it. So the way we do that is I like to start with, this is just a small slide screwdriver, and what I'm going to do is carefully, so I don't damage anything, just slide that screwdriver between the boot and the shell of our receptacle and get it down in there. Now what I've done is I've opened up a little gap here for me to put some soapy water down in there. So just a couple squirts down into our gap, and then I'm just going to work the screwdriver right around the receptacle. Try and break the grip. There. Now she should come off. So, one tip here is that it helps if you get the other side of your cord, put them together. Now you have something to hang on to. And you can just put that right off of there. And there we go. The boot's in good shape, we can reuse it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our new end on our short cord here. So down inside there are two small screws, and I've already loosened them up, and when you loosen the screws up, the shell and the receptacle will separate. And first thing we do is put the shell over the cord, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and get set up so the camera's looking down on this so you get a better view, and we will get this receptacle on the cord. Now, at this point, I first put our boot on, and a little soapy water helps with that. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to use the boot, but what the heck, let's go ahead and do it. We got it. So I'll slide that down, get him out of the way. Now next, the shell of our receptacle, slide that on, like so. Now, we need to skin the outer sheath of our short cord back so that we can expose the conductors inside. So, if you look in the instructions, it will give you dimensions, and it'll say cut the outer sheath back so many inches, cut the inner conductors back so many inches to expose the copper. But one thing I just do is I line my cord up like that to the end of where the wires will terminate. Here's my clamp. It's going to grip the outer sheath of my short cord, and I just make a mark right about there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skin this outer sheath off with a razor knife, being very careful, taking very light series of cuts while I'm putting a little tension on the cord so that we are careful not to damage the conductors inside. We don't want to cut into the insulation of the conductors inside. So let's be very careful, and we'll do that now. So a very sharp blade, put a little tension on the outer sheath, and then we just work our way around. And there we go. Now, let's get the fuzzy stuff off. So to get this out of there, just grab a bundle of it, like I have it here, pull it back against the sheath, and then just cut. It'll come right away. one in the middle. All right, and there we go. We've got our conductors. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my conductors, the insulation off of my conductors here, and expose the copper beneath. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Now typically, what we want to do is skin this back about 5/8 of an inch. And again, I'm just going to use my razor knife for that. And about 5/8 of an inch. Very carefully going around so not to damage the conductors inside. Okay, so we're back. We had to do a little bit of reset there because I started to cut the insulation off of our conductors inside and found this, and you can see that there is not good clean copper. So when we find this, we just start cutting, moving back down the short cord until we find some good, bright, clean copper, because we want this to be a really good electrical connection. So see, that is more better, and we want this to be a really good electrical connection, because if it's not a good connection, it causes resistance, resistance causes heat, heat causes fire. So we want this to be a good, solid connection. So I'm going to go ahead and strip the rest of these off, and we'll put this together. I'm going to go ahead and open up my clamp. Make sure that my terminations are open wide. And then we'll go ahead. And I like to bend my wires out just a little bit, like so. Give them a good angle, a good lead going in to the receptacle. So black. White goes into white, green goes into green, red to red, black into black, and we push them home. Holding that together. Snug them down. In. Snug them down. In. Snug it down. And the last one. Push it in. Snug him down. And go back around again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Everybody's snug. 4. And we'll just make sure that we don't have any wires coming out of our terminations here. And at that point, go ahead and put our clamp on our outer sheath. Okay, so our clamp's on, we're good and tight, all our terminations are tight. Time to put the shell on. Now the shell has a little indexing pin to it, which is, if you can see that on camera or not, but it's one right there, which will align with the groove right there. So I'll just line those up. They slide right in. Now we'll go ahead and tighten up our 2 screws down inside. Got to get them to line up. Make sure he's tight over there too. There we go. Now, all that's left to do is to put our boot on. And to do that, we just take a little soapy water on the edge, and then push him home. And there we go. Okay, so there we go. That's how we go about replacing the cord end on our 50 amp short cord, 50 amp 240 volt short cord. Simple thing to do. It's a nice skill set to have if you're a boat owner. It's nice to be able to replace these when you need to. I have to stress the importance of, if you do go to replace this and you find conductors that look like that, corroded, dusty copper, this is not going to make a good connection. So at that point, just start cutting back a few inches until you find nice, bright copper, and we can go with this. This will make a good connection for us. But anyway, simple little project, nice little skill to have in your back pocket. So until next time, keep working on your boat.